secret war began.
The surgeon of Birkenau.
Show the world what he did. We take him back alive. We're not animals. No matter what, the truth stays in this room. 40 years later.
Afraid of the monster.
I know what I have to pay.
Vengeance finishes. See? Never dies.
People have to know the truth.
Academy Award winner Helen Mirren. The Dead. Rated R.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that make up September 2nd, 2011. And our first movie that we have here is called The Debt. It's an espionage thriller that begins in 1997 as shocking news reaches retired Mossad secret agents Rachel Singer, played by Helen Mirren, and Stephen Gold, played by Tom Wilkinson, about their former colleague David Perez, played by Kieran Hines. All 3 had been venerated for decades by their country because of the mission that was taking place back in 1965. Well, the trio, played then by Jessica Chastain, Martin Secaucus, and also Sam Worthington, tracked down Nazi war criminal Dieter Vogel, played by Jesper Christensen, in East Berlin. At great risk and at a considerable personal cost, the team's mission was accomplished. Or was it? The suspense builds in across 2 different time periods with startling action and surprising revelations. That's how they're selling it to you, but hey, it's written by Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldman of Kick-Ass fame, and written by Peter Strahan, who would later go on to write Conclave, and directed by John Madden, the guy who directed Shakespeare in Love, which was a Best Picture winner. Not a great Best Picture winner, but still. Now, what's interesting is that this film had already been released in several various film festivals the year before, but it didn't make its way to theaters until 2011. And, this was actually one of the last places that it actually got to, because it was first released in France, then it was released in Kazakhstan and Russia, and then it made it to the US, Canada, and India. And, kind of like with The American the year before, a movie that nobody really ever talked about, and it kind of came and was actually a big hit. And it was actually not a bad movie. This is kind of the same thing. It came out on Labor Day weekend. Was a surprise hit. Was well received by critics, and when you really look at it, it's not a bad movie at all. It's an overall enjoyable film with a lot of really good talent involved in the cast. I mean, you have 2 generations of actors in here. The time jumps get a little distracting at times, and it's hard to buy Jessica Chastain as a younger version of Helen Mirren's character. I mean, that just seems like. It feels like they're really grasping for straws there. Like, you could probably buy Tom Wilkinson and Sam Worthington are the same person, but other than that, though, yeah, the rest of it is just kind of like, was it Sam Worthington? Yeah, it was Sam. It was Sam Worthington as Kieran Hines, which, yeah, that I could buy into. Tom Wilkinson and Martin Secaucus, I don't know if I'd be able to buy them at the same age. I mean, they could possibly be done, but the only one I was really baffled with was Jessica Chastain and Helen Mirren. That felt like they were pushing it a little bit there, but because the movie is so compelling and you do get invested in the scenarios going on, you do kind of let it push to the side a little bit. Then you can actually find a lot of enjoyment in the film with the idea of, this whole thing about these 2, essentially, these 2 different generations trying to figure out what is this one older generation trying to have memories of what happened in the past overall. And like I said, I thought it was a very good film. I thought it was a very compelling movie. I won't say it's a great film by any means necessary, but I think it's a good film overall. It's on that same wavelength as The American the year before. Not one that's going to win any awards in general or should be considered for awards contention, but a pretty fun thriller overall. One I definitely recommend checking out. So let's go ahead and jump into space with our next movie, and that is Apollo 18.
Officially, Apollo 17 was NASA's final mission to the moon. No evidence of an 18th mission has ever been found until now.
DOD mission report. I don't believe this. Tragedy. Look at this. Oh, no!
On September 2nd,
Something's inside my suit.
discover the reason
Something else out here.
we never went back. Apollo 18, rated PG-13.
Yeah, let's just call this what this really is. Somebody saw the success of Paranormal Activity and said, oh, we gotta make a movie about something like that too. Let's have Paranormal Activity take place in space and make up this story about how Apollo 18 was actually a thing that we put up in space, but nobody ever knew about it until now, and that's the reason why we've never gone back to the moon. Sure, let's go with that. That's literally the plot of the movie. Two astronauts are assigned to a special mission to the moon. Walker and Anderson land while Gray stays in orbit, and they collect samples and they find footprints. It's actually 3 astronauts, I should say. They collect samples, they find footprints, and the body of a Soviet cosmonaut on the moon. Soon they hear weird noises and find that they're not alone. because you're in space. Yeah, there is literally no lack of suspense in this whatsoever. I mean, the concept overall isn't a bad concept. I mean, doing a found footage movie in space, which could be good, but this has a lot of the same problems with a lot of found footage movies that were trying to cash in on Paranormal Activity's tail, and it's just simply the fact that it's not scary, it's not intriguing, it's them trying way too hard to copy something that worked so well with the first couple of Paranormal Activity movies, and you have people trying to copy that success, and if you don't have the same talents there, and are just recopying the same elements of Paranormal Activity, except putting it in a different setting, that's not a selling point to your movie, and it's not scary at all. Like, everything that happens in here is not scary, it is not thrilling, the chills are not there, you don't care about these characters whatsoever. There's just nothing about this movie that works at all. It's just a lazy film, a film that's trying to ride the coattails of Paranormal Activity, and it just isn't working in the long run. It just, yeah, you can see why this film never went anywhere afterwards. So, yeah, just a bad film, a bad idea, an idea that could have been good, but wasted on a really lackluster script. This movie should not have been put in theaters. This was something that was put in theaters strictly because Paranormal Activity was the hot shit, and everyone wanted to have their Paranormal Activity success, and this was not it. So. And just like everybody else was trying to create the next Piranha 3D, here's Shark Night in 3D.
4 days all alone on an island?
Oh, it's gonna be a good weekend.
Go faster, man, go!
Somebody do something.
Where are all these sharks going in? I'm not just gonna sit here and watch them die.
Shark Night 3D. Rated PG-13. Also showing in 2D.
Yes, because a movie called Shark Night 3D is something that people want to see in 2D. So please, make that notification there that you can watch this in 2D, even though the fucking title of the movie is Shark Night 3D. And do I even need to tell you what the plot of this movie is? This is a movie that is simply a plot you can see coming a mile away. It's stupid teenagers going on a vacation in a remote place and area where where they have the place all themselves, and they realize there's a whole bunch of sharks all over the place ready to devour every single one of them. Gee, haven't heard that plot before. I mean, this is about what you expect for a movie like this, and it has some notable names in there: Sarah Paxton, Catherine McPhee from American Idol, Joel David Moore, of course, from the Avatar movies. Notably, this was directed by David R. Ellis, who's the same guy that gave us the Final Destination 2, and the Final Destination. And this is the last thing he directed, because I completely forgot that he is no longer with us. He died, actually, not but 18 months after this movie came out. He died in January 2013. His death's been, he died in like his hotel room in Johannesburg, South Africa, and they've never said what the cause of death was, and said no foul play was suspected. So yeah, it's still one of those deaths that nobody really knows about and all that. But that's weird. That's interesting. I never knew that this was the last thing he directed, and the guy has not been a bad director. He's actually directed stuff that I've liked. Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco, Final Destination 2, The Final Destination, Snakes on a Plane was probably one of his worst films. Cellular was probably one of his more underrated movies, but this is definitely one of those ones where you could see what it is coming a mile away. If you don't know what you're going into it for, then you deserve to be disappointed by what you're going to see, because yeah, unless you know going into it, yet you know you're going to see an over-the-top, cheesy shark movie, and this time it's in 3D, excuse me. Yeah, there's no reason to check this movie out. If you don't like shark movies before, you're not going to like this in general. And it is a movie made for specifically the people that love the bad shark knockoff movies. These are the people that love Sharknado. That's who the target audience for this movie is. And I don't like the Sharknado movies. In fact, the first Sharknado is one of the worst films I've ever seen. So I think you can figure out how I feel about this movie. Not a fan. Not a fan of it at all. But I see the audience for it, so hey, have the time of your life. So let's go ahead and get on to our last movie that we have here, and it is surprisingly the best film we have this entire weekend, and it is a good old-fashioned orgy.
I have a concept for the final fiesta, Labor Day weekend. We need to think outside of the box.
All right.
We're gonna have an orgy.
Ew.
This is our chance to do it right. Take back what's been taken from us.
Is that from Goonies?
I am paraphrasing Goonies there, yes.
I mean, that segment alone perfectly describes the entire movie for you. And who knew it was actually one of the best movie that came out this weekend, easily. And shockingly, one of the best R-rated comedies that came out this year. I mean, think about all the comedies we've had this year. Not just R-rated films, but just comedies in general. A lot of them have been major disappointments. You know, stuff like The Change-Up, Friends with Benefits. What was another one we looked at that was pretty bad? Hell, The Dilemma, Your Highness, Paul, you know, half of these Universal comedies that that have come out this year, most of them have not been that great. And this is one of those ones that kind of just came out of the blue. No one really knew about it for the longest time. It was released limitedly in theaters, but I'm really glad I found it because it was surprisingly really good. And it follows you got Jason Sudeikis playing Eric, who was having was throwing parties at his father's house for years, and decides to have one last party with the house to be sold. And his basic idea is to simply have an orgy, and he's having it with all of his friends who they've had sex before, but clearly have never had the concept of an orgy. And that's kind of the fun of this movie. You have a cast that includes some notable names in here. Michelle Borth from Bones and Hawaii Five-0, Nick Kroll, Tyler Labine, Lindsay Sloan, Lucy Punch, Will Forte, Martin Starr, Angela Seraphine, Lake Bell, Leslie Bibb, Don Johnson, Lynn Shay. Just a lot of notable names here. This is directed by the same people who did The Virginity Hit the year before, which was a surprisingly good movie. But this right here, I thought was a ton of fun. I just love how they've had sex before, but they are so inept on the concept of what an orgy is and how to have an successful orgy in this house. And when they actually get to the orgy itself, it does lead to a lot of silly, fun, over-the-top moments in it. I think it's a very fun film. It knows exactly what it's trying to do, and it does lead to a lot of really good, funny moments and a lot of silly, ridiculous stuff. It reminds me of an old-school 80s comedy in the veins of something like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, or something like, what was another? Animal House was 70s, but you get the kind of the idea. That type of the type of raunchy college movies that we don't get anymore, sadly, and it's a shame because sometimes they can be really good. We've had a couple successes as of late with No Hard Feelings, but something like this, it's just a movie that knows exactly what it is and just has the time of its life with it, and it leads into a lot of good stuff. It's a very underrated little gem of a movie, and one I would highly recommend checking out. If you love old-school, raunchy comedies of the past, A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy is definitely one to check out. It's one of the most underrated ones we've seen so far in this time span, if you will, of raunchy comedies. Does not get talked about a lot, but it's a ton of fun overall. That's one I'd highly recommend checking out. A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy.
I'm sorry, she failed us.
Can I go talk to her?
Your wife is dead.
What are you talking about? What happened to her?
Could someone weaponize the bird flu? Someone doesn't have to. The birds are doing that.
In 3 months, it's 1 billion sick. That's where we're headed.
People will panic. The virus will be the least of our worries. It will tip over.
It's figuring us out faster than we're figuring it out.
Contagion, rated PG-13, in theaters and IMAX September 9th.
Yeah, remember when everybody went to this movie immediately when the COVID pandemic happened and thought, let's go ahead and watch this movie, because clearly we will know the answers of how to figure out how to beat the COVID-19 virus with this, and yeah, that didn't happen. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It is September 9th, 2011, and we have 5 films to take a look at today. So let's start off with our first movie, Steven Soderbergh's Contagion, which concerns the spread of a highly contagious virus transmitted through respiratory droplets and formites, attempted by medical researchers and public health officials to identify and contain the disease. The loss of social order as the virus turns into a worldwide panic and the introduction of a vaccine to halt its spread. To follow several interacting plot lines, the film makes use of the multi-narrative hyperlink cinema style popularized in several of Soderbergh's films and was inspired by real-life outbreaks of the SARS outbreak and the 2009 swine flu pandemic. So, I guess in a way it kind of makes sense to go back to the COVID-19 pandemic with this particular film, but you couldn't have gone to a much better movie than this. I mean, even Outbreak, which is just literally ripping off, that wasn't even that good of a movie. People just went to see those movies because, oh, it's relatable to what was going on in the world, and if we watch these movies, maybe we can outsmart the virus. And no, You can't do that in particular. And I didn't even. This isn't even something where I hated the movie from the beginning. This came up. It's from when COVID happened. I hated this movie ever since I saw it back in the day. I was really disappointed by it because Steven Soderbergh very rarely misses the mark, and boy, did he miss it big time here. This movie is pretty lame. I mean, this is a lousy film. Everyone is overacting their asses off. I mean, Matt Damon in that clip there, when, they're talking about his wife, seeing his wife, and the doctor's just like, well, she's dead. And she says, like, what are you talking about? What happened to her? What happened to her? Like, can you I mean, Matt Damon's a good actor, but can you overact any more, man? Like, you're bordering on Freddie Highmore telling Daniel Day Kim, I am a surgeon from The Good Doctor again. Like, but on top of that, the whole movie is just nothing but boring talk, and it's just like you gotta make this much more interesting that when you have a virus that's going to affect the entire world, and all you're doing is watching all these people inside of these rooms just doing nothing but talking and talking and talking. We don't need talking, we need action, goddammit. Like, something happened in this movie. Like, I never got it. I never got into it when I first saw it in theaters over 15 years ago. Pretty much 15 years ago, but it just never did it for me. I never really got into it. I was bored by it. It's almost 2 hours of your life sitting here just waiting for something interesting to happen, and nothing is there. And it's not the fault of the actors involved. They're trying the best they can here. You got seasoned veterans, Matt Damon, Lawrence Fishburne, Jude Law, Marion Cotillard, Kate Winslet, Gwyneth Paltrow, Bryan Cranston, Sanaa Lathan. You have Elliot Gould in here. I mean, how long has he been in the movie that's actually been tolerable and good? I mean, there's a lot of good people in here, and there's just literally nothing to make this interesting at all. I'm not asking you to go into action movie territory, but you gotta give me something more than just a boring sit-down TED Talk with all these different celebrities. But that's what it feels like it is. You're sitting in a lousy TED Talk waiting for somebody to tell you something interesting or how we're gonna fix this problem, and it's just not there, man. It's a boring movie. It's lifeless. There's nothing about it that works. It's a very rare misfire for Steven Soderbergh. He makes a lot of good movies, but this is one of his few misfires that he has. And I know I'm gonna be the one person out there that says that, because most people do like this movie, and this is one of those ones where I have to disagree with you on it. Contagion really sucks. Plain and simple. So let's go ahead and move on to the best overall movie this week, the one that should have made this money that Contagion did, because Contagion blew up the box office in a big way. Meanwhile, Warrior, nobody went to go see it.
Bailed on. I was a 16-year-old kid. What the hell did I know?
From the director of Miracle,
This is big time. We're gonna need a trainer.
what began as an incredible challenge
I got a family to protect. Everything I do is for them.
became one family's impossible journey.
The two men fighting for the championship tonight are brothers.
On September 9th,
You can do this. What are you saying? I can do this.
chase your dreams. Warrior, rated PG-13 in theaters September 9th.
Then again, kind of like with Winnie the Pooh earlier in the year, probably not a good marketing campaign for this particular movie. Killed this in the long run, but this film definitely is much better than the trailers let on here. You have Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton as two estranged brothers whose entrance in a mixed martial arts tournament makes them come to terms with their lives and each other. And you have Nick Nolte as the father figure, who actually got nominated for an Oscar for this. Jennifer Morrison, Frank Grillo, Brian Callen. You have a lot of real-life MMA and combat sports fighters in here, like Kurt Angle. And it's directed by the guy who did Miracle, Gavin O'Connor, who is not a bad director overall. And this is a film that I do really enjoy the hell out of it. It's a movie that reminds me so much of the first Rocky movie. Like, it's a smaller story. It's a story about these two brothers who eventually will have to face each other in the ring. And it's a very compelling movie. It's a movie that does keep you on the edge of your seat with these solid performances all across the board. These two really do feel like brothers. You do feel their connection. You feel their problems when they have to figure out, how are they going to enter this whole thing overall. And it's a very good movie, and it's not afraid to go down a beaten path when it needs to. And it's definitely very reminiscent of the first Rocky movie, in the fact that it's a triumph of the human spirit, and not everybody's going to win the day, but you get those little victories along the way that doesn't involve the actual thing you're going into here. It's a very solid movie. It's a movie where you don't want to see either one of these guys win or lose. Like, you really are rooting for both of them to come out of this stronger than ever, and it just works so well. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. One that sadly, like I said, got really passed on at the box office. It wasn't a big hit. It only brought in like $23 million over the budget of $25 million. It didn't even make its budget back after the worldwide grosses. And it's a shame because it's a really damn good movie. It's one that really needs another bit of appraisal, which I think it has gotten over the years. It's been out on 4K. There's been steelbooks for it. It has had that cult following to it. So I am glad to see that there is an audience building for this movie, because it definitely needed it back then. But I am glad to see that it's getting it now. Warrior, easily one of the year's best movies. One of the most underrated gems of the year, quite honestly. So that is easily the best film of this entire weekend. But hey, a little good Kevin Hart stand-up comedy wouldn't help you either.
I'm emotional. I'm crying. I'm a mess.
No. No. She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
I mean, that's one of the more memorable lines from the show. Experienced a show that quickly became a national phenomenon. Get an up-close and personal look at Kevin Hart back in Philly, where he began his journey to become one of the funniest comedians of all time. You will laugh till it hurts. Well, technically, I wouldn't say you laugh till it hurts, but this is still some pretty funny stuff, though. I got the Kevin Hart kind of late on in the game. I knew about him early on from stuff like Scary Movies 3 and 4, and also Soul Plane, where it's amazing that that dude survived that movie, because he was the leading star of Soul Plane. And again, half the people in that cast, you've got to be amazed in the fact that they started one of the worst movies ever, and yet they did not, most of them did not lose their careers. They actually got better. Some of them won Academy Awards. I mean, some of them went on to be respected entertainers. I mean, Kevin Hart is definitely the prime example of that. The fact that he survived that, I mean, he's not human. I mean, it's like the critic whenever he talks about Sylvester Stallone. Who could survive Rhinestone? He's not human, I tell you. Like, that type of thing. And in this movie, yeah, it's exactly what you expect it to be. It's a stand-up movie with Kevin Hart doing what he does best, and the guy's pretty good at it. He can be really funny at times. I mean, he has a lot of good funny moments in this, a lot of good stand-up scenarios, and yeah, it's really good funny stuff overall. I won't say this is the best of the Kevin Hart stand-up movies, because I did see, Let Me Explain and also What Now, which I think are better films, but for most people, this was their reintroduction to Kevin Hart as a whole, because this movie was an unexpected hit. It made $7.5 million, which is more than its budget, $750,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a big gap between the budget of a movie and the box office it made for a film that did not get a huge promotion or anything, but lo and behold, there it is. I mean, it was a big hit, and hey, it opened the door for Kevin Hart to make more appearances and everything, and, it opened the door for Kevin Hart to become the entertainer that he has become in the years since then, and still a reliable draw and still very funny even after all these years. So yeah, what more can you say, man? Kevin Hart, we can laugh at his pain all he wants to, but if it's making us laugh, then so be it. So we're certainly getting a lot more laughs in that film than our next movie, which is Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star. And if you want to see some of the most annoying goddamn marketing in your entire life, then take a look at this.
What are you doing this weekend?
Laundry?
No way.
Homework?
Yeah.
Seeing Bucky Larson?
Yeah. Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star. Let's get bucked up.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say to that marketing campaign. Just, yeah, plain and simple. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to show that. I might have to censor that, but I'm sorry. That was a horrible, horrible marketing campaign for this movie. But then again, you wouldn't expect anything less from a movie directed by Tom Brady. No, not that Tom Brady. The Tom Brady that used to have respectability when he worked on The Simpsons and The Critic, but then became a Hollywood director and became known for such misfires as The Hot Chick. But okay, technically The Comebacks was kind of a fun movie overall, but it was certainly a lot better than the Freebird Seltzer spoof movies. But now he's back to garbage again with Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star, and I wanted to use that joke one last time because this is the last thing that Tom Brady ever directed, so take one last swing at that. So, in this movie, Nick Swardson stars as a man-child whose reserved parents were famous porn stars and plans to follow in their footsteps. Which would work for any other person, but not this dweeby, stereotypically nerdy character that looks so god-awful. Like, it's amazing that this thing got off the ground as it did. And they got off the ground because Adam Sandler's a big draw at Sony, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants to. This is the third film this year that it's one of the worst that is one of the worst movies of the year. Like, this is and it, just when you thought that was not bad enough, Adam Sandler will bring one more bad movie to the table in November with the last one we have here, but the film doesn't work because it's just not funny, and it's annoying. It is so goddamn annoying. The entire movie is nothing but watching is really bad comedy in a cock-teasing movie that tries to make you think that you got a movie about a porn star, so you're going to see a bunch of porn stars and you hear a lot of boobs and all that. You do not see that at all in this fucking movie. This whole movie is a con. You go in there thinking you're going to get so much more. They lock the door behind you, and you're forced to sit there and be tortured for an hour and a half while watching this. That's what this movie is. That's what this ungodly mess of a film is. And I'm sorry. I'm the wrong person to say that, because hell, Nick Swartzen himself even said that if you don't like this movie, you just don't understand comedy. And if you think I'm kidding, I have the quote right here. Here's what he had to say. He said he blamed the poor financial showing of the difficulties of advertising the material. Gee, when you advertise it like the way you did with that, I can't see why people wouldn't want to come to see this movie. But he says, to promote an R-rated movie with commercials with this character, it was just really, really hard. It was hard to get this movie across to people. The trailers and theaters were really tame because we couldn't show any of the insanity, and even if we did it, it wouldn't hit because it had no context. It was just really frustrating. He predicted the film would find more appreciation on DVD. It did not. This thing was quickly forgotten so much. Like, it didn't even make back its budget of $10 million. This thing made $10 million. This thing cost $10 million to make. You can't even make your money back from that. But in the same interview, and this is the kicker right here, I knew the critics were going to bury us because of the acting, how it was written and directed. None of these reviewers were psyched to see Bucky Larson and laugh. They go with the mentality, fuck these guys for making another movie. They go in there to kind of headhunt. It makes me laugh because it's just so embarrassing. It makes them look like such morons. No, it makes you look like a moron because your name is all over this puppy, and I'm sorry, you're not a reliable box office draw, man. So yeah, you did this all to yourself, and man, it's amazing how in one movie he makes himself even more obnoxious than fucking Rob Schneider did. Like, Rob Schneider, I'll give him this. The man is passionate about the movies he makes, no matter how terrible they are. Like, no matter what he does, he's just like, I don't care, I'm going to keep doing them because people keep going to see them. He sells those movies. Nick Swartzen, he couldn't even sell this one movie, and it crashed and burned so goddamn quickly afterwards. It's just like what did you think was going to happen when this movie came out? Like, it's inexcusable. It's an inexcusable mess of a film. It's a terrible movie. It doesn't work because it's not funny. It's not clever. It's not ridiculous. It's not stupid. I mean, it's stupid. It's not the fun kind of stupid, though. Like, you don't understand comedy. No, you don't understand comedy you don't understand what I'm losing my train of thought. I can't even think straight. It's you that's the one that doesn't understand comedy, because if you think that this is funny, then you are out of your goddamn mind. And it's no shocker that he went back to being Adam Sandler's little bitch in movies, because he keeps showing up in every other Adam Sandler movie since then, and has not gotten any better with time. And it's just like, it's amazing how in one fell swoop you out Rob Schneider with your lack of accepting failure when you fail miserably, because you failed miserably with this piece of shit. See, it's not really much of a shocker with this one. This one's pretty bad, so. Not as bad as our last movie, though, which at least Bucky Larson look like it's trying to make it for the big screen. Why in the world would you put a movie like Creature out in 1,500 theaters?
Smells there's something there. Hello?
Why? Why is this in 1,500 theaters? Why in the world would you think that this was going to be a successful movie that you have to put it in 1,500 fucking theaters? This movie literally looks like... A DVD is not good enough for this. This should have been a Sci-Fi Channel movie of the week. But no, some idiot over at the Bubble Factory, you haven't heard from them in a while, and for good reason, because they were never that good to begin with. I mean, really, it's like... I mean, this is the Bubble Factory really thought that this piece of shit was going to sell to people, and yeah, what a shocker, it didn't. And like I said, it's been a while since we've heard from them. This is the same company that gave us such memorable masterpieces like Flipper, The Pest, That Old Feeling, McHale's Navy, A Simple Wish, For Richer or Poorer, Slappy and the Stinkers, Bad Girls from Valley High. Like, this was supposed to be their big comeback, you know. After all these years, we're going to relaunch the Bubble Factory and we're going to be more successful than we were under Universal. And no, it was not successful at all. You got Makad Brooks, Billy Brooks' brother from Double Toasted, Surinder Swan from Reacher and also Inhumans and Breakout Kings, Amanda Fuller who plays the daughter on Last Man Standing. Who else? Sid Haig, who plays the Epimoni's Creature. The Creature's not even that interesting to look at, and like, he's not playing the Creature. Like, he's playing a guy named Chopper in this, but at the same time, this movie is terrible. It's a lousy movie. It's a sci-fi film blown up for the big screen. It's not scary. It's not intense. There's nothing about it that stands out over anything else. The shit just sucks, man. This is just a terrible movie. I don't think I need to tell you why. It's there in the trailer. It's there out there. Like, whoever decided to put this out in a wide release should have their head chopped off. Quite literally have their head chopped off for this. But yeah, what more can I say about it? Creature.
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. Slimy yet satisfying. Ew. It is time.
The King has indeed returned. Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films of September 16, 2011. And it's funny enough that the biggest new release of the entire weekend is a re-release of a classic movie, which is, of course, The Lion King, which we've talked about in great length on this show. We talked about it when it was released in theaters in 1994, when it was re-released in IMAX in 2002, and in 2011 it's been re-released for the first time in 3D, which on paper, you wouldn't expect a movie like this to be worth it seeing it in 3D, but, I mean, even if you didn't want to see it in 3D, it was still worth it to see it on the big screen for the first time ever, which, that was my first time seeing The Lion King on the big screen before. I mean, I've seen it on video and DVD and TV many, many times in the past, and nobody really was expecting this one to be the unexpected success that it was. And like I said last time around, it was supposed to be a 2-week release originally, but because the Blu-ray was coming out not but a couple weeks later on October 4th, I think it was when it came out. But you know, this was not meant to be a big re-release in general, essentially to keep it in there for long. Disney knew that, hey, it's going to come out on Blu-ray in a couple weeks. There's no point of making theaters wanted to put this out there for more than 2 weeks. So fuck it, just put it in there for 2 weeks. And when the film unexpectedly made over $30 million in its first weekend, I mean, this to put it in context for you, this made The Lion King the first re-release to earn the #1 slot of the box office since the re-release of Return of the Jedi in 1997. That's a 14-year gap between the Return of the Jedi's release in theaters at the #1 spot and The Lion King, and it basically made Disney realize that, hey, we got a new cash cow here to work with here, because not only did they extend this movie to an extra after the 2 weeks that it had, the thing went on to make over $94 additional million for the movie in general domestically. I mean, it made over $176 million worldwide extra money that it didn't have before, and yet people were more than willing to go out there and see it again on the biggest screen possible. And it essentially led Disney to open the floodgates and put out more of these 3D re-releases of some of their classic movies, not just with movies like Beauty and the Beast, Finding Nemo, Monsters Incorporated. You know, all three of those came within 2012. That is 2012 because of how successful this was. However, when you put out that many re-releases in the span of 1 year, not even 6 months after, not even 4 months after The Lion King did it, naturally the novelty is going to wear out pretty quickly. And Beauty and the Beast, Finding Nemo, and Monsters Incorporated never really had that same kind of box office momentum that Lion King did. But they didn't do bad business overall, but they weren't the big successes that The Lion King was. In fact, The Little Mermaid was supposed to get a 3D re-release in theaters, but because those other three releases didn't do as hot, they basically pushed the Little Mermaid 3D version straight to the Blu-ray release that was coming out. It was basically kind of a precursor to these eventually coming out on Blu-ray, so you can get them on Blu-ray and DVD if you didn't get them the first time around. And essentially, with Finding Nemo and Monsters Incorporated, it opened the door and made people come to the realization that, you know, we want to see more of these characters again. Unless Pixar greenlit the sequels to Finding Nemo and Monsters Incorporated not too long after their releases. In fact, actually, Monsters Incorporated's sequel was already well in development when they re-released that movie in theaters, and I think it was December 2012. But yeah, not much more to really add to The Lion King itself. I mean, I've talked in great length about it already. It's a great movie, one of the great Disney animated classics. What more can you say about it? I mean, but this was a notable release for what it did for Disney and 3D re-releases. It brought that back for a little bit, and even other studios were starting to take notice. The Wizard of Oz was released in 3D for a little bit at Warner Brothers. Jurassic Park was re-released in theaters by Universal, hoping to get the buzz up as they were working on the next Jurassic Park movie. So this did start a little bit of a brief trend, but after about 2 years, that kind of faded out. But it was cool seeing these classic movies on the big screen again. It's always going to be great to see classic movies on the big screen again. I mean, they're still doing it now. Hell, Universal's doing it now with a lot of their movies. We got the Jaws re-release coming out again as I'm recording this on Friday. And then later in October, we've got Casper coming. Hopefully we can get stuff like Back to the Future or The Land Before Time, because I feel like that's something that could be seen, that I would love to go back and see in 3D, in theaters again, on the big screen. Because I've seen Back to the Future a couple times on the big screen. I went to a Pittsburgh Culinary Trust show down at the Benedum Center. But like Land Before Time, I think would be cool to see on a big screen. Disney's doing it now with Toy Story coming back to theaters in a couple of weeks, and I think maybe Home Alone, I think, is coming out in a couple months as well as The Night Before Christmas. But yeah, I would love to see more classic movies on the big screen. They don't have to necessarily be in 3D, but it'd be cool to see these classic movies on a big, wide screen if you could do so. So hopefully that trend's coming back in full swing. But not much more to say about this. The Lion King, what more can you say about it, man? So let's go ahead and get to the new releases this week. And the biggest of the new releases was easily the best of the three, and that was Ryan Gosling in Drive.
What do you do?
I drive. Critics are raving. Drive is brilliant, powerful, a masterpiece. Rolling Stone gives Drive 4 stars. It's the coolest film of the year. Drive, rated R, now playing.
Unfortunately, that commercial I showed you there was nowhere near as exciting as the trailers were when this was coming out, and everybody got really excited just from those trailers alone, and it's kind of hard not to see why. This is a stylistic, visually impressive film, and it's a great movie overall. You have Ryan Gosling starring as an unnamed Hollywood stunt driver who moonlights as a getaway driver, and he quickly grows fond of his neighbor, played by Carey Mulligan, and her young son, Benicio. When her debt-ridden husband, played by Oscar Isaac, is released from prison, the two men take part in what turns out to be a failed million-dollar heist that endangers the lives of everyone involved. The cast also includes Bryan Cranston, Albert Brooks, Ron Perlman, and Christina Hendricks in one of two movies she's in this weekend. But this one definitely is the far superior one. This is a really damn good movie. It's a great movie that showcases Ryan Gosling's rising leading star power, once again giving another dominant performance in here. The visual look of the movie is incredible. Cinematographer Newton Thomas Seeker, who's done a lot of Bryan Singer movies, commanding job on this. Cliff Martinez with a great score overall. The casting is great in this. The movie is just such a cool, slick film in the same vein as something like a Scarface for a new generation. I mean, it's a terrific movie. Albert Brooks in particular is amazing in this, and it's a damn shame that he did not get the Oscar consideration that he should have gotten for this, because he definitely deserved to win the Academy Award for this performance. I mean, he's the one thing that you come out of this movie going like, besides Ryan Gosling, he's the one that you come out of this going like, wow, Albert Brooks is pretty friggin' awesome, man. And yeah, he should have been nominated. He should have at least been nominated. Maybe winning is a little bit much. I'd have to go back and check to see who was actually nominated that year. But then again, I think that might have been the year Christopher Plummer won for Best Supporting Actor. So, yeah, I probably would have liked to see Albert Brooks win one and not Christopher Plummer, but I digress. This is a great movie. It's a really fantastic film. It still holds up after all these years. It did become a massive hit when it came out, and it sadly has been forgotten ever since then. Not a lot of people really talk about it all that much, but I mean, I think it's mostly because Ryan Gosling has done so much amazing work since then that we kind of forget that he was even in this movie back then, but still, regardless, it's a fantastic film, an amazing-looking film, a stylistic, cool, sexy film. You know, reminds me a lot of stuff like movies like Collateral and Heat, and also Scarface. These really cool, slick movies of their time, and this one definitely fits in that category in general. This is a great movie. Can't recommend it enough. Drive. Great film. Now, let's get back to the crap. Let's take a look at James Marsden, Kate Bosworth, and Alexander Skarsgård in the remake of Straw Dogs.
This past spring, the Sumners moved to Blackwater.
Just worried it'll be too quiet.
I like that. 3 months later.
Can I give you a piece of friendly advice?
Watch yourself. 6 people were brutally murdered.
What is that?
September 16th. Discover.
I want you to see what's coming.
What really happened. Straw Dogs, rated R, in theaters September 16th.
Yeah, when you see Screen Gems' logo on a remake of a classic Sam Peckinpah movie starring Dustin Hoffman, yeah, abandon all hope, ye who entered here, because that Screen Gems is not the sign of a great company that knows exactly how to make a great remake of a classic movie. Screenwriter David Sumner and his wife Amy travel in his Jaguar to his hometown of Blackwater, Mississippi. Amy's father had died, and David intends to write his Stalingrad screenplay in the house. He hires contractor Charlie and his team to repair the barn roof. Amy used to be Charlie's sweetheart, and he and his crew show her no respect now. Charlie invites David to hunt deer with him and his crew, but they leave David alone in the woods and rape Amy, who doesn't tell David about it. While drunken coach Tom Heaton calls Charlie and his friends to hunt down slow Jeremy Niles, who likes his daughter, David decides to protect not only Jeremy, but also Amy and her honor. And that's really part of the problem with the movie in general. This is a movie that glorifies violence, and the big difference between the original Straw Dogs was that it was made by somebody who didn't care about selling it to mass marketing and actually wanted to tell an intriguing story. This is a movie that's clearly trying to appease a mass market and not doing the right things you need to do to sell the film. And sadly, this thing was dead on arrival. I mean, when Kate Bosworth literally said to make the rape scenes more lifelike, she actually told Skarsgård not to hold back, and actually, as he pretended to perform the violent sex assaults for cameras, like, that's your problem right there. We don't care how authentic the rape scenes are supposed to be like. Be a compelling story. Give us something new that we didn't see in the original film. And sadly, that's not in here. And you have a great cast in here, too. Not just the 3 I mentioned, but Dominic Purcell, James Woods, Will Holland, Laz Alonso, Walton Goggins, Anson Mount. And they're all just really just slugging along here. It's a failure of a film because it literally is one of those pointless remakes because it literally adds nothing new to the original Sam Peckinpah movie that you could have just seen from the original Sam Peckinpah movie. The original one is still a classic film. This just feels like a regurgitated knockoff of it with much more sexier stars. And hey, because they're sexier, that means the rape scenes are going to look more sexier. Which, no, that's not what you should be selling a movie on. I'm sorry. That's exactly how I feel about this film. This is a pointless remake and brings nothing new to the table, wastes all these good, talented people on a script that just feels so rotten and so ugly and just feels like an insult to the original film in general, and it's just a bad film. Avoid this one like the plague, for the love of God. So yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, Sarah Jessica Parker starring in I Don't Know How She Does It.
A recent study showed that women with young children don't sleep through the night. Researchers were at a loss to explain why. They could have asked me. Instead of sleeping, I do the list. Number 1.
Hey, I'm late to school. I am just so jealous you get to look nice all day. We just trump around at the park.
Number 2. Keep my head above water at work.
Sure, you're running a little late this morning.
I have 2 choices here. The man's excuse, bad traffic, down power lines, faulty carburetor, or mammogram.
Oh.
Number 3, spend more time with Richard.
You must be completely exhausted.
Not completely. Number 4, the kids. Kindergarten bake sale, Christmas lights, birthday party.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how she does it. All those children.
I have 2.
So impressive.
You have 4.
Yeah, but 2 of mine are twins.
Excuse me for 1 second. Hey, Lynn, Seth, listen. You know when you asked me about potentially taking over the late night spot later on down the road, whenever Jimmy Fallon takes over the Tonight Show, please tell me that's going to be sooner rather than later, because I've got a feeling that my film career is not going to last very long with movies like this. Help. That's probably what Seth Meyers was thinking to himself when he started movies like this and New Year's Eve, because, yeah, Seth Meyers kind of took the Jimmy Fallon approach when he was starting to build a film career, except Jimmy Fallon had at least 1 good movie to his roster in Fever Pitch, and he was good at Whip It, too, so. But this is literally an ABC television pilot blown up for the big screen. No, really, it's literally that. Sarah Jessica Parker is a working mother struggling to balance career and family life, and she's got an all-star cast around her with Pierce Brosnan, Greg Kinnear, Christina Hendricks, Kelsey Grammer, Seth Meyers, Olivia Munn, Busy Phillips. Like, this is literally a television pilot blown up for the big screen, and they do absolutely nothing to make this seem theatrical at all. There is no reason to release this on the big screen except the fact that you got all these big names in here. And it would help if there was something funny, if there was something intriguing about it, and no, there's none of that in this movie. This is another one of those movies that tries to be like these, strong feminist comedies that show that, hey, ladies can be funny too, and, real life can be funny too. Yeah, real life can be funny, and women can be funny if you have the right script and the right director to make it work here. I mean, they have a decent writer here, Aline Brosh McKenna, who wrote The Devil Wears Prada, but you also have Douglas McGrath, whose last movie that he did, I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, he directed Infamous, which was kind of an underrated film about Truman Capote starring Toby Jones. But, this is a guy that has written some good stuff back in the day. I mean, he wrote for Saturday Night Live in the worst season ever in 1980-81, so that's probably not a good start. He wrote for L.A. Law. He's written stuff like Bullets Over Broadway, Emma, as I said, Infamous. So he's not a bad writer overall, but he feels way too out of touch to direct a film like this. I mean, this is a guy that's been working since the 1980s, and this is over 30 years after his time on Saturday Night Live. It's just like, a movie like this needs a younger, more fresher approach than what this film was trying to do here. And I think nothing about this film works at all. It's not funny. There's nothing about this that works whatsoever. This whole movie feels like if Carrie Bradshaw didn't have Sex in the City and she was just a bland woman living in New York City. I mean, she's got everything she needs. Like, she balances her career very well, and everyone is just like, oh my god, how do you do it? It's just like, that's literally the entire fucking movie. The whole movie is literally everyone around Sarah Jessica Parker going, I don't know how she does it, like the title says. Like, she does all this type of stuff. It seems like it's really, really hard for us stupid people to do, because we live in this world where stupid people don't know how to live normal lives, and blah, 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 blah. Just like, that's probably what you're thinking about this. You're probably asking me to wrap this up already, because I should have wrapped this up 2 minutes ago when I said it's literally a television pilot and a bad TV pilot blown up for the big screen. Like I said, seriously. Tell me you could not see this as a show on CBS or ABC or NBC or hell, even Fox. Like, this is a show that would have fit so well onto a primetime television schedule back then. This isn't something that should have been seen on the big screen. This is a film that should have been chopped down to an hour, put on television, and then get canceled after 7 episodes. That's literally what this movie is. It's a waste of your time. I don't know how they did it, but I don't know how she does it. Really doesn't work. Plain and simple.
Money. We're a small market team. Fine players with the money that we do have. there's a championship team that we could afford because everyone else undervalues them, like an island of misfit toys.
We're going to shake things up.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
Billy Bean has tried to reinvent a system that's been working for years.
I say it's just getting started.
What is happening in Oakland?
It defies everything we know about baseball.
A system that's so damn good, they went on to win no championships. Not even kidding, they literally won no championships through this entire process. But that doesn't mean the movie itself has to suffer either. Welcome to Time About the Movies, though. Today we are taking a look at the 5 films of September 23rd, 2011. And we start off with the biggest of the new releases, and that is, of course, Moneyball. Based off the best-selling book by Michael Lewis and on the true story of Billy Bean, played by Brad Pitt, general manager of the Oakland Athletics, in an attempt to create a competitive team despite Oakland's unfavorable financial situation with an innovative player recruitment strategy using sophisticated statistical analytics and analysis of their performances. The other cast also includes the aforementioned Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Wright, Chris Pratt, written by Aaron Sorkin and Steve Zissou, directed by Bennett Miller. Just a really, really good assortment of talent here. And just all across the board, you have a lot of good people involved in here. And, not every movie with all-star talent on both acting and creative sides has been good. We've talked about several of them on this show. One of the most notable examples of the past includes stuff like Scenes from a Mall with Bette Midler and Woody Allen, directed by Paul Mazursky. Valentine's Day. How many big celebrities were in that movie? So the big question is, how does Moneyball fare up? Really well. It really is up there with The Social Network as one of the best movies that I saw. Kind of like The Social Network, I should say, because Social Network came out the year before, but it really was one of the best movies I saw in 2011. I thought Brad Pitt was very good as Billy Bean. I kept seeing Pitt in the same way that I saw George Clooney in Up in the Air. Like, I saw Clooney playing George Clooney in that movie, and in Moneyball, it's basically Brad Pitt playing Brad Pitt. I mean, I like Pitt overall. I just don't think he really distanced himself enough to play somebody unique and different in this film. But I did think his performance overall was really good. Jonah Hill, this is one of his first movies where he steps out of his usual comedy territory and does a serious role. I think it was actually the first one he ever did, honestly. I think there's another one, maybe, but I think this was indeed the first one. But, it's really good. I like it when comedic actors step out of their usual shtick and do more dramatic stuff like Will Ferrell or Jim Carrey, or we're going to see Seth Rogen doing that next week with 30-30, with 50-50, but Hill I thought was very good in the movie, and I actually had read that Demetri Martin was going to play that role before Jonah Hill stepped in because Martin passed up on it. I like Demetri Martin, but I don't think he would have played that role very well. I thought Jonah Hill overall was really good in that role. Philip Seymour Hoffman is in here, but only for, the little tiniest bits in this movie. Kind of like in Charlie Wilson's War, except in that movie, he leaves a lasting impact. And here, he's good, but he's not really given a whole lot to do. The best performance overall in the movie to me was Chris Pratt, who at the time was known simply as Andy Dwyer from Parks and Recreation, who plays the first baseman in here. And I thought he really did the best acting job in this movie overall. I kind of felt the same way I did with him, with Rashida Jones in the previous year's The Social Network. I thought they both were very good, given these very strong performances overall. That should have been Oscar considering performances, but it's a shame that they didn't get the recognition they deserved, because they were really good. And coincidentally, it's Rashida Jones and Chris Pratt who played a couple in Parks and Recreation, so it's all coming full circle. What the hell am I doing with my hands? I don't know, but bottom line, the performances are really good. The dialogue is really good. It's Aaron Sorkin and Steven Zissou doing everything that you can to make a great film and great writing overall. It's them doing the best of what they do best. Bennett Miller does a very good job directing the film. The only flaws I had with the movie overall was in the last game they showed. They make a big deal about the Oakland A's winning their 20th game in a row and breaking a record, but the next game, which is the championship game, just gotta push it off to the side like it's nothing. We spent 30 seconds when we spent 15 minutes on that previous game, and it's just kind of like, what's the point of that? It's just it really didn't feel like the connection worked there. It's just but then again, it's mostly nitpicky things here, but this really was one of the year's best movies. A really strong film with a great cast, great writing, great direction. The dialogue was great. Moves at a nice pace so you can keep up with it easily. It just works. It is this year's Social Network. It's not quite up there with stuff like Midnight in Paris or Rango or some of the best movies of the year, but it's another really good movie from a year that started off really rough, but definitely the second half of the year, it's definitely gotten a lot better. This is definitely one of the prime examples of a movie that really does work very well to its advantages. So that is Moneyball, so let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Dolphin Tale.
In 2005, an injured dolphin was rescued off the coast of Florida. Her chance of survival, 1 in a million. Her amazing true story inspired the movie critics are calling wonderful, entertaining, and unforgettable.
If the fish doesn't like it, I'm putting the tail on and swimming with it myself.
4 stars, so inspiring you'll stand up and cheer. Dolphin Tale is a must-see for everyone.
I think you're getting the hang of it.
Dolphin Tale, rated PG, now playing in 3D and 2D.
Of course, it's got to be in 3D, because that's the trend right now, and there's really no reason for this to be in 3D, honestly. But, yeah, this is an inspiring story that's going to work so well in one movie that we're going to say, fuck it, we're going to make another movie when Warner Brothers essentially sees the box office numbers here. Because this was a massive hit. It brought in nearly 3 times its original budget, almost close to $100 million, but I mean, it is what you get here with a story like this. You have a story about Winter, a bottlenose dolphin that was rescued in December 2005 off the Florida coast and taken in by the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. And then this Winter loses her tail after being entangled with a rope attached to a crab trap and must be fitted with a prosthetic one in order to swim naturally again. So it's basically got the Toothless scenario where, he has to go, where, they have to go in and, give him a prosthetic thing so that he can fly up in the air. It's pretty much that with this dolphin. Not quite as memorable as that, but I've seen worse. And for the target audience, it does deliver on what it promises. It does give you some nice situations with the kid and this dolphin, the relationship between the two of them. Harry Connick Jr., Ashley Judd, Chris Christopherson, Morgan Freeman, they're in the cast here. This is directed by Charles Martin Smith, who I feel like we've covered a couple of his movies before. Actually, maybe only one, Air Bud, which I didn't really care for that all that much. I know it has a big fan base, but I was never a fan of that movie. I thought we covered some more of them, but no, I don't think we have. I mean, he has directed other movies, like Boris and Natasha the movie, and then he did the sequel, Dolphin Tale 2, and A Dog's Way Home, and A Gift from Bob, which is stuff we're going to get to later on down the road. But this might be the first time we actually have seen something from him since Air Bud that we've actually covered on the show, and for what it is, like I said, it's harmless. I mean, it's a movie that delivers on what it promises. And, yeah, it's trying to go on the fact that, for the studio and producer that brought you The Blind Side. It's just like, okay, so there's really not much of a difference between The Blind Side and this movie. But, I mean, honestly, I've seen much better versions of the story done in truncated times. Like, around this time, we had an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa had to save a whale that was parched onto the beach, and, she tries her best to save it, and there's even a moment where you think it's going to be saved, and then, like, it doesn't have a happy ending for it, because the whale does die, and, like, I mean, in that half hour, they did much more in that than this movie does in general, and, I mean, that's my personal take on that, but as far as this film goes, like I said, it's a harmless movie. It delivers what it promises for the kids. It's fun. It's got a cute dolphin. What more can you ask for? So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and oh boy, this one is a laugher and a disappointment too, specifically for the director of this movie, but we'll talk about that after I show you a little bit of the amazing acting job from action star Taylor Lautner in Abduction.
Nathan Price is a high-valued asset. He escaped an attack last night. We've got 36 hours to find this kid before they do.
Suddenly, everyone around me is dying.
We've got to get out of here, Nathan.
Who are you?
I'm a friend of your father's. Your real father.
I want the video feeds from every security camera. Track his friends.
What's my real name? What's my real name?
Track anyone they've ever spoken to.
Who are these people?
They can't be trusted.
Listen to me, Nathan.
We're going to find you.
Not if I find you first.
Okay, seriously, that was a good rehearsal take there, Taylor, but you want to try that again and actually emote? Oh, wait, you're not going to emote. That was literally the trailer, and that's the line that Lionsgate said, perfect, we're going to sell it on that. My God, this movie is awful. Taylor Lautner plays a young man who sets out to uncover the truth about his life after finding his child photo on a missing person's website. This movie has a cast that also includes Lily Collins, Alfred Molina, Jason Isaacs, Maria Bello, and Sigourney Weaver. But the biggest thing about this movie is that this is directed by John Singleton. And it's incredible how, in the 20 years between this movie and Boys in the Hood, this guy has fell into his... This guy ends his illustrious career with his worst movie as a director. I mean, this is the guy that gave us Boys in the Hood. This is the guy that gave us Poetic Justice, Higher Learning, Rosewood, Shaft, Baby Boy, Four Brothers. Too Fast, Too Furious was his worst film up until this film. And it doesn't help when you have a movie like this that literally feels like a movie that should be sitting in a Walmart made-for-DVD bin in the new... Like, you go to the new releases and you see these movies that you never even heard of. That's where this movie should have been at. But no, because it's got Taylor Lautner from Twilight, and Twilight's the hot shit, we gotta put this on the big screen. And, yeah, that image of him just on his phone with the Pittsburgh Pirates shirt is a perfect sum-up of everything that makes this movie so awful. It's just like an awful actor with an awful baseball team, and they were awful back in the 2010s. I don't care if they had that brief playoff run in the 2010s. The Pirates have never been that good of a baseball team. It's just like, they just have not. I mean, as of the time of recording this, I'm going tomorrow to see a really good baseball team in the Savannah Bananas play there. And I'm telling you, they're going to be a whole lot better than the Pittsburgh Pirates ever were. I'm guaranteeing you that, But other than that, though, back to this movie, it's just not a good movie. It's a lame film, and it's because Taylor Lautner is just not the right choice for this role. At least with Robert Pattinson, in the bad movies that he's been in, you can at least tell that he's at least trying to hold it together. Kristen Stewart has proven time and time again how good of an actor she can be. But Taylor Lautner, he regressed badly as soon as he became Jacob in Twilight. He had a promising career with the Robert Rodriguez movies, and then after that, nope. Now you've gone back down to you've gone to this low point, and it's going to get worse for him at this point. I mean, if this is the highlight of your post-Twilight career, you've really, really had a bad stretch of movies in general, and just a bad stretch of luck in general. This movie sucks. This is a terrible movie, and it's just... I'm more disappointed for John Singleton to end his illustrious career with this movie, because he passed away in 2019. He did at least give us a good show in Snowfall on FX, but this... No, this is bad. This is really, really bad, so, yeah. Avoid Abduction Like the Plague. With that said, on to the next movie, and that is Jason Statham, Clive Owen, and Robert De Niro in Killer Elite.
They killed Craig and Aaron. Close the door. Hello? I knew I'd find him. He's like a father. You don't do this, it's not that much. And then he's going to come back for me. It's your worst nightmare. I have no idea how deep this goes. You think this is on fire? Killer Elite. I gotta cover my expenses. September 23rd.
A couple things about this movie that I did not realize until later on. I did not know Clive Owen and Robert De Niro were in this movie, surprisingly, and lo and behold, they are. But this is also the beginning of a new company that's coming out, Open Road Films. This was a production company by AMC Theaters, and started off with this film in general. But they actually have made some decent films. The Grey was pretty good. End of Watch was probably one of the best movies that came out in 2012. They also did Side Effects, the Steven Soderbergh movie. They had one of the two Steve Jobs movies that came out around this time. They gave out some Machete Kill, Homefront. They have given us some bad movies, though, like the Nut Job movies. They've also done the Haunted House movies. But most of their movies, there have been more good stuff from Open Road Films than bad stuff. And this one is not really good, but not really bad either. Just kind of generic. Like, if this was the 1980s and 90s, this would have been something you would have seen on TBS's Late Night Movie of the Week or something like that. But, yeah, this is that type of a movie in general. So, loosely based on a true story, Killer Elite pits two of the world's most elite operatives, Danny, played by Jason Statham, and Hunter, played by Robert De Niro, against the cunning leader of a secret society of former Special Air Service operatives, played by Clive Owen. Covering the globe from Australia to Paris, London, and the Middle East, Danny and Hunter are plunged into a highly dangerous game of revenge and deception, where things are not always what they appear to be. But if you've seen movies like this, you can look at this and go like, yeah, I've seen this type of a film before, and yeah, there's really nothing that different compared to other movies, except the fact that, oh, it's a new studio putting it out. A movie like this should not have a $70 million budget on this, which this did, and probably not the best start for the studio, as it made only $56 million back worldwide, so yeah. Needless to say, this was not a big hit in general, but got a decent cast in here. Jason Statham, Owen, Yvonne Strahovski from Chuck, Robert De Niro, Dominic Purcell, Adwale Akinmu Agbaji, Ben Mendelsohn. So there is some talent in here, and the film itself is meh, I guess. I mean, I can't even say it's okay. It's just kind of like, it's there, and it's, like I said, it's the type of movie that you wait for on USA's Movie of the Week, or Action Movie of the Night, or TBS's Late Night Movie, one of those things. Like, if you don't know what it is going into it, then you probably are going to hate it right from the get-go. But as it is exactly what you think it is, and it's passable, I guess. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's something that you watch it once and you're just like, I'm never going to want to watch this again. And that's how I kind of felt about it back then, so yeah, I have no real intention of never watching this again, so not much more to say about that one. That is Killer Elite. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Gerard Butler in Machine Gun Preacher.
About Machine Gun Preacher, it's an inspirational true story, an emotional powerhouse. Gerard Butler has never been better in the most powerful movie of the year. Heartbreaking and inspiring, it's superb. Machine Gun Preacher in cinemas November 2nd.
Oh my god, Sean Edwards likes a movie. Run for your lives, people! There's no hope, you remember. Yeah, sorry about that, but once you see Sean Edwards praising a movie, it basically is the equivalent of saying, abandon all hope, ye who enter here, because that guy does not know a good movie pretty much is a good movie from a bad one, because, yeah, he puts his reviews on some of the worst movies ever. This is the guy that has been notoriously known that once you see his name on on one of those critical phases thing, unless you know what the movie, unless the movie actually looks pretty good, you know it's not going to be good at all. But I mean, as far as this one goes, it's, again, kind of like with Killer Elite, just passable. It tells the story of Sam Childers, played by Gerard Butler, former gang biker turned preacher, in his efforts to protect, in collaboration with the Sudan People's Liberation Army, the children of South Sudan from the atrocities of Joseph Kony's Lord Resistance Army. Yeah, so if you don't remember, around this time, Joseph Kony suddenly became a big thing that everybody was kind of getting into. So much so that the Nostalgia Critic made a funny video talking about how nobody really knew how to look at Joseph Kony as a whole.
Watch Kony 2012. Alright.
Joseph Kony is the worst person in the world. He turns Ugandan kids into soldiers and kills them if they don't comply. All we have to do is make sure that his name is well known, and we can stop this horrible madman forever.
Holy shit, that's terrible! Asshole! You're an asshole, Kony! Oh my god, I'm telling everybody I know about this. Oh, you know what? I better send some money. Yeah, better send lots of money. Let's see. PayPal, Kony 2012, shitload of money. There! Yes! I'm a good human being! Woo! I'll get another video about Kony.
Kony 2012 is a fraud. They give only 38% of donations to Uganda. The rest goes to marketing, paying salaries, and raising awareness.
Fuck you, Kony 2012! I didn't know the money I was giving to a charity to raise awareness was going to raise awareness! I'm going to a better cause, like... What's a better cause?
Pink Ribbon.
Pink Ribbon! I'll find the biggest Pink Ribbon charity out there! Susan G. Komen, you got it! Shitload of money, PayPal, there it goes! I'm an American! Do a video about Susan G. Komen.
Susan G. Komen gives only 29% of donations to breast cancer research.
Son of a bitch! I'm going back to Kony! What's this video?
Kony has died.
Hooray, we got him!
5 years ago.
What?
I'm from Uganda and I have no political or military connections at all, but I'm from Uganda and I heard Kony's dead.
Why am I searching for a dead guy?
It's a fraud. Kony's alive. It's a fraud. Kony's dead. He's alive. He's dead. He's alive. He's dead. He's making his living being a monkey-eating transvestite. And he's dead.
Tell me what to think, Internet! I can't form my own ideas!
They don't really want to get Kony. The search is just a front to get more oil.
Oil! 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 I knew oil was behind this! It's behind everything! Oil is the root of all evil! Oh, that reminds me, I gotta change the oil in the car. Oh, what's this one?
Kony is an alien.
Really?
He came from the planet Block and wants to consume all the world's Happy Meals.
Is there a place I can give money for that?
To all you conservatives out there, Coney is gay. To all you liberals out there, Coney wants you to go to church. Coney is Hitler. Coney's a pizza place. Coney is that little Laotian girl from King of the Hill. Coney is the absolute worst thing in the world and will continue to get worse unless you do something about it.
What can I do?
Nothing. Everything. Spread the word. Be silent. Send money. Don't send money. Stand on your head and start singing I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. Whatever you're doing, it's not enough. So, what do you think about Coney 2012?
I just want my porn!
Yeah, so that was a thing back then that we were all looking at on the internet, but yeah, as far as this film goes, like I said, it's passable. The acting overall is okay. You got Gerard Butler doing a pretty decent job in here. Michelle Monaghan, Michael Shannon. This is written by directed by Mark Forster, who gave us Quantum of Solace, but he also did Stranger Than Fiction, which is easily his best overall film. And then you also have Jason Keller, who would later go on to write some good things. Escape Plan was a fun movie. Ford v Ferrari was great. But he also did Mirror Mirror, which, yeah, that movie's not that great. But this film, it's just kind of meh. I mean, like I said, it's nothing that amazing. It's a movie that wants to be so uplifting and so an Oscar contender overall. It's trying to be the Cry Freedom or the Catch a Fire of its day, and it's just not there with this movie. It's a movie that's trying, but not trying hard enough for me to say it's worth checking out. But no, I wouldn't say that. It's just a movie that's just kind of like, kind of like The Killer Elite. Not good, not bad, just meh.
Courageous is the #1 new movie in America. Audiences give it an A+, 4 stars, a must-see. The film that is touching the hearts of moviegoers everywhere. Courageous, rated PG-13, now playing in theaters.
Yeah, that's right. We're not the #1 movie in America, but we're the #1 new movie in America. I mean, just the fact that this thing made more money than any of the new releases should be more than enough to say, hey, this is something that a lot of people are going to see. But with all that said, welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 6 movies of September 30th, 2011, and we are starting off with Courageous. 4 men, 1 calling, to serve and protect. As law enforcement officers, they face danger every day. Yet when tragedy strikes close to their homes, their fathers are left wrestling with their hopes, their fears, and their faith. From the struggle will come a decision to change all their lives. With action, drama, and humor, this 4th film from Sherwood Pictures embraces God's promise to turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers. Sources will be stirred and hearts will be challenged to be courageous. Yeah, I don't know anything about this movie. I've never seen it before. I've never really had the need to go see this movie. Kind of the same way I had no need to see Fireproof. I mean, this movie just wasn't made for me personally. These type of movies are very hit and miss. More miss than hit when you really think about them. They're only made tailored to a specific audience in particular, and yeah, I'm not in that particular audience in general. I find a lot of these movies overall to be genuinely pretty sappy and pretty lousy. These faith-based movies really don't usually have the oomph they need to really get me to say, wow, that was actually pretty good. And yeah, this one I've never really had any real need to go check it out, and I've never seen it before, nor have I really had the urge to go see it again, and to see it at any point whatsoever. And yeah, like I said, not much more to say about this one. I just have no need to see this film in general. But hey, give it credit for once again doing what Fireproof did years ago and becoming a hit without really a whole lot of marketing and using a lot of Christian groups and all that to get the people to come to the theaters. And lo and behold, it made over 17 times its budget at the box office. So yeah, take that for what you will. So give them credit for that. But the movie that I was looking forward to checking out this weekend, and I did go to see, and I really enjoyed the hell out of it, is our next movie, and that is 50-50.
What are your chances? 50-50? You'll be fine, man. If you were a casino game, you'd have the best odds.
Having a dog helps with the healing process.
What, does he have a medical license?
No. I'd rather have him. Exactly. That's why. Come on, let's just do it. What do you use this for?
Body trimmer, so.
What is it? 50-50, rated R, in theaters September 30th.
Oh my god, Sean Edwards has a review and a TV spot. Run for your life. Wait. He has it on a good movie. Excuse me for 1 second. Yeah, I can see it. Hell is officially frozen over. Sean Edwards actually likes a good movie. Hey, a broken clock is right every once in a while. Inspired by a true story, a comedy centering around a 27-year-old guy played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt who learns of his cancer diagnosis and his subsequent struggle to beat the disease. This is based on the life of the screenwriter Will Reiser's life. And of course, everyone's big concern about this movie in particular was, how do you make a good, lightweight, heartfelt comedy about cancer? Cancer really is something where it's just kind of like, there's not really much of a laugh, is of a humor element you can add to this, but lo and behold, 50-50 not only did it, but did it in a way where it makes this one of the year's best movies. They pulled it off and did a damn good job at it. It's a breakthrough for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is always somebody I've really liked. I've liked his work in supporting roles, from his work in television, and of course on Third Rock from the Sun, also from his stuff that he does on Hit Record on TV. I'm a big fan of this guy. I've really enjoyed his work over the years. He's given another solid performance in here. He's really great. Seth Rogen, this is a big return to form for him. I mean, he was being Seth Rogen while at the same time not being Seth Rogen. He brought an element to the table here that has been missing from the couple of movies that he's been doing since then. He got a really strong cast that also includes Angelica Houston, Anna Kendrick, Philip Baker Hall, Matt Frewer, all very well done. And it does play its part out very well. And it's, like I said, it's hard to make a comedy about cancer and make it good, funny, and moving. And I think Funny People tried to do that, and while it wasn't perfect, it worked just enough. This is the movie that Funny People was trying to be, and succeeded much better than a movie like this succeeded much better than a movie like Funny People did. It also does keep you guessing at the end, because it's obvious the screenwriter lived in real life, because he wrote the script, obviously. But you don't even know if Gordon-Levitt's going to make it to the end, because we know how Hollywood acts these days, and it ends on a really solid note overall that really does push it to make it seem like they're not just forcing it in there at the last minute, forcing a happy ending in there at the last minute. Like, it feels like a legitimately good ending overall that fits for the story that is in this particular film. It is one of the best movies of the year. It takes a very serious subject and makes a really good comedy out of it. The cast is great. The jokes work really well. The comedy bits work very well. The emotional moments are really good. It's just a really, really damn good movie, and one that I highly recommend checking out. 50-50 is indeed one of the year's best movies, bar none. Certainly not one of the year's best movies, and maybe one of the worst movies of the year. Daniel Craig, starring with Naomi Watts and Rachel Weisz in the horror film from Jim Sheridan, Dreamhouse.
You live here and you don't know about the murders.
Did you know the people who used to live here?
Everybody who lives in this house gets killed.
Get away from my family!
Who are you?
Dreamhouse. Rated PG-13.
From my left foot to this. Just wow. Some say that all houses have memories. For one man, his home is a place where he would kill to forget. A family unknowingly moves into a home where several grisly murders were committed, only to find themselves the killer's next target. A successful publisher, played by Daniel Craig, quits his job in New York City to relocate his wife, Rachel Weisz, and two girls to a quaint New England town. But as they settle into their new life, they discover their perfect home was the scene of a murder of a mother and her child, and the entire city believes it was at the hands of the husband who survived. When Will investigates the tragedy, his only lead comes from Ann Patterson, played by Naomi Watts, a neighbor who was close to the family that died. As Will and Ann piece together the disturbing puzzle, they discover that the story of the last man to leave Will's dream house will be just as horrifying to the one who came next. Hi, Amityville Horror. I mean, that's literally what this movie is. It is a cheap knockoff of the Amityville Horror, except we've got bigger stars in here. And, at least a movie like Cowboys and Aliens was trying. This is not trying at all. This takes good talent and just 100% wastes them on every single bit in here. Everything you see in this movie is legitimately taken from every other haunted house movie, not just Amityville Horror, but several other movies of the same subject, of the same type in general. Like, they aren't even trying to hide it. And for Jim Sheridan, this is a low point for a guy who's made such memorable movies as My Left Foot, In the Name of the Father, The Boxer, In America, Get Rich or Die Trying. Even Brothers, his last movie, was at least trying. This just feels like he was just half-assing it for a paycheck, and I'm ashamed of this guy. This guy hits an all-time low here. Everybody hits an all-time low with this movie. It's not scary. It's stuff we've seen done before many, many times in the past, and it's just not a good movie. It's just not a good film. It's a lazy film, a terrible movie. It's not scary whatsoever. If you've seen every other haunted house movie, you have seen Dream House. Yeah, plain and simple. Terrible, terrible film. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to another underrated little gem that came out this weekend. Anna Faris and Chris Evans starring in What's Your Number?
86% of women who have been with 20 or more lovers can't find a husband. 20?
What's
6.
your
8.
number?
9. 1. You're at 91.
No! I am not going to sleep with one more guy until I am sure he's the one. Barry? It's Allie!
Oh, doesn't ring a bell.
We dated for like 3 months.
Oh,
Let's see how things are going now.
oh, Allie. Of course.
What's your number? Look for it on Blu-ray and DVD.
See, now, this is a prime example of what happens when you take a romantic comedy that's been done to death before and actually do something very fun with it and actually work because your two leading actors are having good chemistry together. Anna Faris stars as a woman who's had many ex-boyfriends who turned out to be losers. Now she believes she can't find the good guy, but when she runs into one of her exes, who's now Prince Charming, played by Chris Evans, she decides to look up all of her exes. Now, I'm sorry, that's not him in this role. We'll get to him in a little bit, but she decides to look up all of her exes to see if any of them have changed for the better. And she's had exes like Thomas Lennon, you see in the trailer there, Chris Pratt, who was then married to Anna Faris at the time of this movie's making. I'm trying to remember who else was in here. I think Joel McHale was one of the other ones here. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I remember really enjoying it. Zachary Quinto, who plays the boyfriend that she ran into early on in the film. But when she has trouble locating them, she asks her neighbor Colin, that's the one who's played by Chris Evans, who sleeps with a different woman every night and seeks out the morning after to avoid talking to them to help her. And you can tell they're going to get together at the end. And you have a good cast in here, not just Anna Faris and Chris Evans, but as I mentioned, Joel McHale, Chris Pratt, Thomas Lennon. You have Blythe Danner, Ari Grainer, Ed Begley Jr., Eliza Coupe, Tika Sumpter, Zachary Quinto, Andy Samberg, Martin Freeman, Aziz Ansari. Just a terrific, terrific cast all across the board in this movie. And they are making this material work really well. The humor in here is very well done. This is co-written by Jennifer Crittenden, who wrote for The Simpsons and The Critics. So yeah, you got a pretty solid writer on this film. But you like the chemistry between Anna Faris and Chris Evans. I think these two really do work off each other really well overall. I think they're very entertaining to watch in this movie. They have a lot of good funny moments in here. Anna Faris can usually make funny moments in this really good. Mark Mallory is the director of this movie. He's directed a lot of television work, but he's directed stuff like Ology in the House. He also, coincidentally, 11 years later, made The Menu of home movies, which talk about a difference between this and The Menu. And The Menu is a great movie, but yeah, this movie definitely ate The Menu in terms of the genre, and as good as that movie is, The Menu is really good. It's one of those movies that is very predictable, no question about it, but it is a film that you go into it knowing that's a predictable movie. You go into it knowing it's going to be one of these cliched riddle romantic comedies, but it works because the two leading actors are really good, and you do want to see them get together at the end. Anna Faris and Chris Evans do work off each other very well. The cast is really good. The comedy is really good. This is a really good movie. It's one you should definitely check out. It's one that didn't get the best reception at the box office or critic-wise. Some people even said that releasing this just right after Chris Evans found his newfound stardom with Captain America seemed like they were moving way too fast on that, but I'd say it actually made it worth it in the end, because it was a really funny movie. It definitely is one you want to check out. What's Your Number? It's a really good movie. Here's another great underrated comedy that came out this weekend. One of the funniest horror comedies you will ever see in your life. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Got another one inside. Oh, she's in my bedroom.
Heads up. Oh, you gotta take the safety off on the side there. Don't do that. Stop, be more careful.
Sorry to cut it off there because the end card was coming up on that trailer, but those scenes alone are really, really funny, and the whole premise is just pitch perfect. You've got Tyler Levine and Alan Tudyk playing a pair of well-meaning hippies who are mistaken for killers by a group of clueless college students who have pretty much entered your typical horror movie Evil Dead setup here. Cabin in the Woods would make fun of this later on the next year, and would be more seen as the memorable movie of the two. And that's a great movie as well, but this movie is absolutely fucking hilarious, man, because you have these hillbillies who are just doing their normal jobs, and they see these college kids, and, you know, unfortunately they're living in this world where everything that they do, no matter how hard they're trying to help these kids, they keep dying in the most bizarre and most hilarious ways possible. There's one scene in particular where one of the kids is about to go after one of the hillbillies and decides to just go inside and tries to jump him, but they're right next to a, what do you call it? What's that thing called? I just had it for a second. A wood chipper. I just had it in my head, and it completely just slipped away from me. But he's right next to a wood chipper, and so when the kid's about to run and jump the hillbilly gets away, not even knowing that he's there, and the kid literally just dies inside the wood chipper. Like, you see blood splattering everywhere, and the dude's just like, Jesus Christ! Like, that scene alone makes this movie worth it. Tyler Levine and Alan Tudyk are absolutely hilarious in this. You got a really fun cast of college students led by Katrina Bowden from 30 Rock. But the concept alone, the hilarity of the over-the-top horror humor in this is just so damn good. This is talking about the same guy that did Clown in the Cornfield not too long ago. So yeah, take that for what you will. But yeah, this is a film that's absolutely friggin' hilarious. It didn't get the proper respect it did back in the day. It kind of came and went at the box office, but it has gone on to have a massive cult following, and I'm glad to see that it did that because it's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely freaking brilliant. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. We got Halloween coming up, as of the time of recording, it's about a month from now. Seek this movie out. You will not be disappointed by it at all. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Jessica Chastain and Michael Shannon starring in Take Shelter.
Is anyone seeing this? The signs are everywhere. How can a man protect his family?
Thinking about cleaning up that storm shelter.
Are you out of your mind?
From a looming tempest within himself.
What's going on?
I'm afraid something might be coming.
Jessica Chastain and Michael Shannon take shelter.
There is a storm coming!
What if it's not over?
Coming in November on FearNet.
Once again, couldn't find a TV spot, so I had to take it from a commercial on television a couple years later. But the story of this is that you have Michael Shannon as a young father and husband who is plagued by a series of apocalyptic visions and questions whether to shelter his family from a coming storm or from himself and his increasing worries over having paranoid schizophrenia. So yeah, it's not just a movie that's just about the apocalypse in general. It's about, you know, tackling the issues of serious stuff that we still deal with today. Mental illness, masculinity, the lengths people go to protect the ones they love. It's a movie that is very much a film that still very much is something that gets talked about to this very day. And this is just a really well-made film. It's a great performance from Michael Shannon. Jessica Chastain, who's having a banner year this year with another great performance in here. This is directed by Jeff Nichols. Jeff Nichols is a guy who's made a lot of really good stuff. He'll follow this up next year with the movie that was kind of another pushing point to Matthew McConaughey's career renaissance with Mud. He would later go on to direct Midnight Special, Loving. He just did the Bike Riders a year ago. Still yet to see that movie, but I've heard some mixed things about it. But this is a really good movie. It's a very intense film. It's a very well done film that knows exactly what it's trying to get by. And it's a movie that, like I said, is still very much relevant to this very day with the issues that they're handling. And you feel for the characters overall. You feel for everybody in here. You feel for Michael Shannon. You feel for Jessica Chastain. You feel for their kid. You feel for all these people. Like, you know, there's wanting to help people, and then there's taking it to a level where you're pushing your luck here. This is like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer watches a Left Behind spoof movie called Left Below, and he thinks that he can figure out what the apocalypse is going to take place, and, you know, they go to the place where it's supposed to happen, and, you know, they're all waiting for it to happen, and it just never does, and then, sure enough, when Homer goes back again because he miscalculated when it was going to happen, when he goes back, he's the one that only makes it to heaven because everybody else decided not to listen to him. Imagine that, except this is played seriously and done is over an hour and a half long. That's the type of movie that this film is, and it works. It works very well. It's a very good movie, and one that is well worth checking out. Take Shelter. Definitely see it, and definitely see a lot of potential from Jeff Nichols coming from this film that he would bring us later on down the road with his future films.